Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another video here with the Clix'd Crusader. I'm Randy, and today we've got a really fun video. We're going to be taking a look at all things Hawkins, Indiana. So the Stranger Things Iconix set has come out. We've had the LEs that have been out for a little while. Figured it was a great opportunity to be able to get in, go over all the great figures that are inside, and take a trip to the Upside Down. So let's check it out. So we're going to have some different variety when it comes to this set. So the most recent set, and I think one of the things a lot of people were really excited for, the fantastic Iconix series from Heroclix and WizKids. Some of the more popular franchises, we've seen The Sandman, we've seen Beetlejuice, we've seen obviously a lot of great moments from DC, from Marvel. We've got Power Rangers coming out, we've got Thundercats. There's so much to unpack there, but one that I might have been the most excited for is definitely this one here, and that's with Stranger Things. So the Stranger Things Iconix box kind of takes more of a route where it is jumping into mostly the first season of the show. So when the show came out, there was kind of a feeling about it when you watch that first episode. When you see the kids for the first time and they're in Mike's basement playing Dungeons and Dragons, you see that sweeping camera angle where it shows them at the table, rolling their dice and set up. You've got the synth-heavy 80s soundtrack playing. It pans over, you see John Carpenter's The Thing poster on the wall, and that was when I knew this show was absolutely made for people like me. So I was really excited. The show itself was just so cool. It was so different at the time. You know, and all the kids, I think what was really neat about it, you just could kind of relate to it if you grew up as a nerd that liked D&D or comics or video games or any of those things that, you know, back then may not have been as cool. Now you see it and it's kind of the norm, but you know, you resonated with these characters a little bit. So we're gonna hop into all these different sets here, as well as the Iconix set. There's been some con exclusive figures, some LEs that have collected Hopper, Dimmadog, the Vecna figure, which is just an absolute monster, and then probably my favorite from the group, Eddie Munson and a Demobat. We're going to jump into everything. We're going to go over some of the uses, where these fit into some different teams, and overall, honestly, these are all just really fun pieces. Fun if you incorporate them into other teams and try to create some meta from them, but just as much fun if you're a casual player, you just like the theme, because the kids and Hopper, Eddie, the good guys from Hawkins, are a lot of fun to play against all the different monsters that are found within the box. So we'll go ahead, we'll jump into it, we'll go over some of the figures and talk through it. So first, jumping into the Iconix set. So this is the newest release. And this is, in my opinion, the one that's just simply the most fun to play. You know, all the kids have these different themes that mesh with each other that we see with a lot of the other theme teams in the game. But these are just really, really cool. So this Iconix set's gonna come with the whole party. So you're gonna have Will, you're gonna have Mike, you're gonna have Dustin, Lucas, Hopper, 11, and then you've got the dreaded Demogorgon. So all really cool, really thematic. Again, this is kind of based off of the first season of the show, which I thought was a really cool choice because, you know, as we've seen, this show's been around for 10 years. I think one of my favorite things about the show is when it started, you know, this was all the way back in 2016, you see these kids and they're just that, they are kids. You know, we went through 5 seasons of the show, and towards the end of the show, they're pretty much all adults at that point. So you really got to see throughout the entire series, all these kids growing up with each other and everything that they've gone through, which is obviously a lot. But with the Iconix, I thought it was a great choice to go with kind of the initial version of these characters, really more played out throughout the first season of the show. And then obviously the big bad in the box was the season 1 bad guy, the Demogorgon, which obviously there was kind of a power creep to the show as you start getting through things and you start seeing more and more Demogorgons. Ultimately the big bad Vecna, we'll get to him in a minute. But you know, that first season there was not really much more terrifying than the Demogorgon. It was really who captured Will. It was the main enemy in their D&D campaign. When you see that opening sequence in the first episode, the Demogorgons ultimately who attacked them, that kind of set everything into motion, where Will was taken into the Upside Down, kind of kicked off all the events of the show that set everybody on their path that ultimately led us to the conclusion last year. So we'll go ahead and we'll get into it. We're gonna start with the party first. So the first one that we're gonna get into is arguably the main character of the series. So you've got Will. So with Will, he's gonna have the Hawkins, Detective, and Past keywords. He's gonna come in at either 50 or 25 points. And his first trait is the disappearance of Will Byers. So he's gonna have, when Will starts the game, place him on his card. Will can use this trait while on his card. And then friendly characters in your opponent's starting area have power. If Will is on his card, place him adjacent to this character. So that's cool. It's kind of a way to cheat Will out so that he's not present initially. You can kind of cheat him over into your opponent's starting area. He's then gonna have the trait that you're gonna see as a theme throughout all the kids throughout the party. And it's literally called The Party Reunited. When Will's placed onto the map from his card, this game, when a friendly character would choose an effect to use for the party trait, they may choose all of them instead of choosing one. When this trait is chosen until your next turn, friendly characters with the detective keyword can use super senses. So this one's really strong. It's thematic because it's essentially, Will's gonna be gone, similar to when he disappeared in the show. But then once you kind of play through the events and you reunite him with everybody, it's gonna give a lot of power because you're gonna be able to use all of those traits rather than choosing one, which is really cool. And it's gonna make a little more sense once we get into some of the other abilities here. He's also gonna have a damage ability called It Was 7. So when a friendly character's attack roll is 7, immediately finalize the roll. That attack is a critical hit. So that's incredibly cool, really thematic, and just really, really awesome. So he's also gonna have the team player team ability, which all the kids are gonna share. Which is helpful if you, say, join them up with Hopper, who has the police team ability. Or if you're mixing some of these characters into some meta builds or whatever, it gives you a lot of options to be able to kind of copy and put them into whatever you're trying to build. So Will's also gonna have throughout his dial stealth, sidestep, energy explosion, and willpower. So very cool. The cool thing about this sculpt to me, and you'll see up on the screen, but he also has his sketch that he does, I believe it was at the end of season 1. So really cool sculpt there. So the next one we'll get into is Mike. So Mike, obviously, if you've seen the show amongst the kids, he's kind of the natural leader of the group. He's compassionate, he's optimistic, kind of loyal to a fault almost. He's got a great relationship with Eleven, a really complicated relationship with Will. He's one of those characters that was just consistent throughout the entirety of the show, always stood for good, always willing to do the right thing, even if it wasn't the best thing for Mike. And I think that's what makes him a really great character for the show. So he's gonna come in at, again, 50 and 25 points. He's gonna have the Hawkins, Detective, and Past keywords. And then he's gonna have the party trait, which is walkie-talkies. So at the beginning of your turn, for all characters with the party trait, you may choose a friendly character's the party trait. When this trait is chosen, until your next turn, friendly characters with the detective keyword consider other friendly characters within 4 squares of themselves as adjacent for the purposes of their standard powers. Very cool. That allows you to essentially create adjacency for different abilities without clustering yourselves to be at the mercy of some of the more powerful attacks that targets adjacent characters, especially some of the equipment in the game like the Venomax, and that's really, really powerful because you can take advantage of a lot of the positive traits and abilities you're going to have while being able to avoid a lot of the more damaging ones. He's also going to have another traded ability called A Friend is Someone You Do Anything For. And naturally, this is going to be leadership, which is the one power I think that makes the most sense for Mike. And it's going to have once per turn. When a friendly character with the Hawkins keyword rolls for willpower or leadership and fails, you may give Mike an action token to have them succeed instead. That is so cool. Again, going back into, Mike's almost loyal to a fault. Always doing the right thing, whether it's the best thing for Mike or not. It allows them to succeed, even if it is essentially setting Mike a step back. That's so cool. That's the perfect trait for Mike. And then he's going to have a damage ability called Not Now, Mom. So Mike and adjacent friendly characters that share a keyword with him can use Shape Change, but only succeed on a 6. When they use it and succeed, immediately resolve the attack with no targets. So once you roll a 6 and succeed on that, they're not able to actually target anybody else for the attack to continue. Very cool. And then again, he comes in with the team player team ability. So throughout Mike's dial, he's going to have Stealth, Incapacitate, Defend, Combat Reflexes, and Empower. It's perfect. So next we're going to have a personal favorite of mine, and I think just an overall fan favorite, and that's going to be Dustin Henderson. So Dustin is kind of the comic relief and the brains of the group. He's a critical thinker. He's excellent under pressure. As you see throughout the show, he makes friends with everybody. Everybody loves Dustin. But the cool thing with Dustin is, even though he is that comic relief, he typically tends to come through when it matters the most. So Dustin is going to come in again at 50 points and 25 points. He again is going to have the Hawkins, Detective, and Past keywords. And then his party trait is Snacks, which is perfect. So at the beginning of your turn, for all characters with the party trait, you may choose a friendly character's the party trait. When this trait is chosen until your next turn, friendly characters with the Detective keyword can use support and modified defense +1. It's very, very cool. He's then going to have a defensive ability called Abort. So it's going to be a stop click. And when this click is revealed, after resolutions, place all friendly characters with the Hawkins or Detective keyword up to 4 squares away from their current square. Very cool. Again, I'm already seeing ways that this can play into Mike's ability with the within 4 squares of adjacency. Just how all these pieces are meshing together, just really awesome. So he also has a damage ability, which is why are you keeping this curiosity door locked? And it's going to give Dustin outwit. And he's also going to have, when Dustin uses it until your next turn, when the target character chooses targets for effects, they must target Dustin if able. That's awesome. And then again, the team player ability, and then he's going to have stealth, incapacitate, willpower, and outwit. So next we're going to touch base on Lucas Sinclair. So Lucas, I think throughout the series, he was kind of the realest of the group. He's very protective of his friends. He's athletic. He's one that I feel like as the show goes on, he kind of becomes a little bit of an outlier while still being loyal. And at the end of the day, he's courageous. He's really tough in a dangerous situation, and he's a reliable teammate. Lucas, again, is going to come in at 50 and 25 points, is the common theme with this group. Again, with the Hawkins, Detective, and Past keywords. And his party trait is going to be Bikes. So at the beginning of the turn, for all characters with a party trait, you may choose a friendly character's the party trait. When this trait is chosen until your next turn, friendly characters with the Detective keyword can use Carry 1 and can move through targets. Improve movement through targets. That's really, really great. So he's also going to have another traded ability called Shake on it. So once per game, when Lucas would be KO'd, you may instead turn him to click 6 and place him adjacent to a friendly character with the Hawkins or Detective keyword, and he has protected Pulse Wave. It's awesome. And then he's going to have a damage ability called Eat This. So adjacent friendly characters with the Hawkins keyword can use Enhancement. When Lucas hits with a ranged attack, after resolutions, hit targets modify attack -2 until next turn. Very cool. Very on brand with, when he pulls back that slingshot towards the end of season 1 and hits the Demogorgon with it. And then he's also going to have the team ability. And then throughout his dial, he's going to have running shot, stealth, precision strike, willpower, and ranged combat expert. Perfect. All right. Now, as far as the kids go, we're going to get into ultimately the star of the show. You're going to have Elle, 11, Jane Hopper, whatever you want to refer to her as. But at the end of the day, probably the coolest character in the show. So, Elle's quiet, observant, emotionally guarded, but obviously she's rescued by Mike and the kids early in the show, and she becomes fiercely loyal to them. So it turns into a massive story of survival. And I think throughout, Elle kind of feels responsible for bringing everything into this world, which is a big reason why she basically vows to protect them at any cost. So the relationship between her and with Mike, ultimately between her and Hopper, Elle just makes the show so incredibly enjoyable, and she's such a cool character. Now, her abilities and her card is a little bit different from the rest. So she doesn't share the party trait. She has a couple different keywords, so we'll go over those now. So Elle has the Hawkins, Upside Down, Mystical, and Past keywords. And then she also has MK Ultra, which is a move ability, and that gives her sidestep. And if 11's attack would be critical miss, it's a miss instead. 11's attack rolls of 11 are critical hits. So awesome, just a way to avoid a critical failure, and then gives you an additional chance to create a critical hit. So that's fantastic. Then she's going to have an attack ability called Psychokinetic, and it's going to be a range action, and it's make a range attack with a single target. Instead of normal damage, roll 2d6. Deal the hit character damage equal to the result of one of the dice, then knock it back a number of squares equal to the other. So this is just a straight up force blast that we see so many times in the show. Very, very cool. So she has also improved targeting through elevation and through hindering. And then she's gonna have a damage ability that's called remote viewing. So she's gonna have probability control, but may use it regardless of range and line of fire when a friendly target with the party trait is attacked or attacking. So again, we talked about Elle's just fiercely loyal to this group, and that trait right there just perfectly resonates with that. And then she's gonna have the Mystic's team ability, which is fantastic, one of the most powerful team abilities in the game, and just makes perfect sense for Elle. And then throughout her dial, she's gonna have sidestep, telekinesis, willpower, super senses, and outwit. And then one big difference with Elle, where the rest of the group so far has been 50 points and 25 points, Elle comes in at 75 points and 50 points. Obviously, you're getting a lot more power there, so it makes sense. All right, so now, last but not least, as far as the good guys from the Iconix box is concerned, is gonna be everybody's favorite sheriff, Jim Hopper. Now, this is clearly Jim from the first season of the show. Jim is a really cool character. Now, one thing that I love about Hopper is just his transition and his story progression throughout the show. So when you see him in the first season, he's kind of that typical don't really care. You see him waking up late, barely getting out of bed for work. He gets in, he's got the great line with Flo, mornings are for coffee and contemplation, Flo. But as the story progresses and you start to see him care and flesh out some of the backstory, some of the things that he's been through, the trauma he's experienced, he really starts to grow an affinity for these kids and what they've gone through. And his progression throughout the show is probably my favorite story arc within. Hopper's gonna come in at 50 points. He's gonna have the police team ability, and he's gonna have Hawkins, detective, past, and police keywords. He's gonna have a traded ability called the Don't Be Stupid rules. So opposing lines of fire drawn to other characters in your starting area are blocked. He has another traded ability, again, here we go. Mornings are for coffee. It's gonna give him toughness and willpower, and then when one or more action tokens are removed from Hopper, heal a friendly character with the Hawkins or detective keyword one click. It's really, really good. And then he's gonna have a damage ability, again, capping off that line, and contemplation. Gives him empower, enhancement, and leadership. So along with the police team ability, and with the other kids having the team player ability that can adopt that police team ability, he's just gonna be a fantastic support piece to the party, to 11, and a really great way to flesh that out if you're gonna put all these together. So throughout his dial, he's gonna have running shot, sidestep, precision strike, quake, energy shield deflection, combat reflexes, and close combat expert. So I feel like for 50 points, especially if you're running them with a lot of these, the kids, the party, or other detective, people that share a keyword where you're gonna be able to get a lot of benefits from that, I feel like he's really strong for 50 points. And then last but certainly not least, we're gonna have the big bad from season 1, the terrifying Demogorgon. So the Demogorgon comes in at 90 points. He's gonna have the upside down, animal, monster, and mystical keywords. He's gonna have a traded ability called Otherworldly Terror, which is gonna be willpower. And when Demogorgon is targeted with outwit, modify its combat values +1 until the end of your next turn. He's also gonna have another traded ability called Bloodlust, and it's gonna give him stealth, super senses, and then free. If an opposing character has taken damage this turn, make a close attack. That's ridiculous. He moves through characters, and then he's gonna have an attack ability called Dimensional Travel. So steal energy, telekinesis as free, but only to target itself. Goodness gracious. He's also gonna have the Mystic's team ability, and then throughout his dial, he'll have Charge, Flurry, Blade, Claws, Fangs, Impervious, Invulnerability, Shape Change, and Battle Fury. So at 10 clicks of life for 90 points, with all the abilities that he has, I do feel like this is a really good option, regardless of kind of where you're fitting him in. I feel like there's a lot of places the Demogorgon can go. So that's everything within the Iconix set. As we go through the other LE boxes, we'll take a look at how some of these things mesh, but I think just out of the box, if you were to just buy this box, you have a lot of options to run some really fun teams and put these pieces together. A lot of them probably will find a way to fit into some meta somewhere, but I think they're best played, at least off just a quick glance without really diving too deep into any massive team build sessions. They're just really fun to play together. So I think this is a really fun thing to take to your local game store when you have your, whatever your regular events are, to bring for something that's a little less serious and just have a blast with. So I'm really excited to get these to the tables, but definitely really excited also now to hop into some of the LEs. So now that we've taken a full look at the Iconix set, it's time to jump into some of the LEs that they've released. So these have been out for a little bit longer. But I think the big thing with the LEs, where the Iconix have honestly just seemed like a ton of fun to play, really thematically to play with each other, I can actually see some spots where the LEs could see some real competitive play. So I've got a couple of builds going right now using some of these characters. The only one that I've actually been able to get to the table was the Eddie Munson figure, which I'll be honest with you, he might be one of my favorite pieces in the game right now. Just an incredible support piece. I built him around a warrior theme team, utilizing some figures like the Absolute Wonder Woman chase from Fight for Gotham City, Artemis, the Pegasus. I put Caveman Wally West on that team, and I'll be honest, it did very well. The spots where I found myself in trouble during those games was honestly just when they mitigated and shut down Eddie. He's got some really cool abilities, some things that he can do, and just really thematically as far as how his character is portrayed in the show, what that story arc was, but just some really cool pieces. But I think we'll go ahead and we'll start with Hopper and the Demo Dog. So I was mentioning earlier in the video about Hopper and his story arc and his progression, and I love the fact that this piece is so much different than the Iconix version of Hopper, where he was a little more reckless in that season 1, kind of the earlier stages of the show, which is more what we're seeing portrayed in the Iconix. This is more when he's in the later seasons, he's in Russia, and he's started to grow a lot more of an affinity for the kids, and he's got this relationship with Elle, and basically taking her on as his daughter. But he's a lot more ingrained in these kids' lives, and he just is really willing to do absolutely anything it takes, even if that means losing his life to save these kids. And I think the way that WizKids design these characters deserves some credit. I think we often kind of rag on WizKids from time to time, whether it's from distribution or other concerns, and I get it completely. But one thing you really can't deny is, especially with these Iconix and with a lot of these sets, the designers do a really great job of making these feel like the characters we're playing. And I think Hopper's a great example of that. So getting into the Jim Hopper from the Con LE exclusive. So he's going to come in at 75 points, but this time he's going to have the Hawkins, Brute, Detective, Past, Police, and Warrior keywords. And then he's got a traded ability called Get to Katinka, and it's going to have Carry 2 and Willpower. Charge, but don't have speed if Jim Hopper carries any characters. So again, really plays into that theme where he's trying to protect these kids, willing to put everything on the line to do so, and I think that type of a trait just really drives that home. He's also going to have a traded ability called Breakout, where it gives him Blade, Claws, and Fangs, and it's going to have friendly characters with the Hawkins keyword automatically break away. It's very cool. He's going to have a defensive ability called Surviving Soviet Capture, which is going to give him Impervious, and then Jim Hopper can reduce penetrating damage dealt by characters with the Monster, Ruler, or Spy keywords. Again, just the theme just continues to roll through this character. He's also going to have the Team Player ability, and then throughout his dial, you're going to see Plasticity, Flurry, Precision Strike, Incapacitate, Toughness, Exploit Weakness, and Close Combat Expert. And we're going to roll right into the Demo Dog, which comes in the same package. The Demo Dog is going to come in at 50 points. It's going to have the Upside Down, Animal, Monster, and Mystical keywords. And then it's going to have a traded ability, Don't Feed Dart, which I love Dart in the show. I love that they've included this character. But it's got, when Demo Dog hits, after resolutions, give it a growth token. And then Demo Dog modifies its combat values +1 for every 2 growth tokens it has. So important to notate here that it says when Demo Dog hits, not deals damage. So this is a piece you're going to play pretty aggressively and attack as often as you possibly can to try and get those growth tokens to make this thing grow and just get really mean. Especially because his next traded ability is Dustonius Polywagus, which is fantastic. It's going to give Blade, Claws, Fangs, and then Power. Generate a Demo Dog Bystander, max 3. And if Demo Dog KO'd an opposing character this turn, or rolled a 1 or 2 for Blade, Claws, Fangs this turn, they may activate this trait as free instead. So, just an awesome way to be able to start getting some of those Demo Dog Bystanders out, which is going to give you 6 speed with Charge, 10 attack with Blade, Claws, Fangs, a 17 defense with Toughness, and a 2 damage with Battle Fury. And then it's going to have a movement ability called Pack Feeding, which is going to give Charge, Flurry, and then adjacent friendly characters named Demo Dog modify attack by +1. So if you start getting these things out on the board and you put together that maximum bystander amount, these are really going to add up and do a lot of damage. And then they're going to have the Underworld team ability. And then throughout the dial, Dimodog's going to have Charge, Steal Energy, and Vulnerability, Toughness, Shape Change, and Exploit Weakness. So very cool. Again, an incredible character. I love the theme of these, and I can see a spot for both of those in numerous different teams, and I think they're really well pointed as far as what you get for those points. Now, we'll roll into, in my opinion, the best of the bunch here as far as the way that it's played, and somebody that I honestly see myself putting on numerous teams going forward, especially if I can find a way to squeeze it into a theme team based on one of Eddie's keywords. Now, Eddie Munson in the show is one of my absolute favorite characters. So cool, his whole story arc. He comes in, leader of the Hellfire Club, just oozes charisma. All the kids think he's as cool as it gets. He's just a badass. You know, he plays the guitar, he's in a rock band, but he really starts to grow a lot of really good characteristics as the show goes on, and he turns into the type of person that's gonna put himself on the line, a really good friend, and someone that cares a lot about people. And I think the way that his card is written and traded, it really shows that. The way he's willing to sacrifice himself for his friends and those that he cares about. Eddie Munson's gonna come in at 25 points, which is just a steal for what you get with this card. And he's gonna have the Hawkins, Celebrity, Past, and Warrior keywords. And then he's gonna have a traded ability, which this one's incredibly fun. It came in handy as I played on my team last night with this. I used it multiple times and was successful quite a bit too. But this is gonna be my year. And it says once per turn, when a friendly character is hit, you may roll a d20. If you roll higher than the attacker's printed attack value, that attack instead deals no damage. If you roll a 1, damage dealt to each target is increased by +1. If you roll a 20, that attack deals no damage, and all targets of the attack gain immune until your next turn, and then protected Pulse Wave. This was so cool, especially the team that I built it around. It had really high defenses, equipment attached that boosted that further, a lot of different abilities that continued to do so as well. So I had numerous ways to mitigate damage or reduce damage, but then having this each turn as a safety valve was incredible, man. And especially for 25 points, this card's a steal for that alone. But then he has another traded ability called Never Change, Dustin, and it gives him Leadership, Stealth, and then other friendly characters within 4 squares that share a keyword with Eddie Munson modify their defense by +1. So that came in handy a lot as well. He just helps, especially on that Warrior theme team that I had. Already high defenses, already numerous ways to prevent damage and mitigate damage. It just adds to it even further. And then a damage ability called I Didn't Run Away This Time. And it says other friendly characters that share a keyword with Eddie Munson can use Shape Change. When they use it and succeed, the attacker must choose Eddie Munson as a target if he could be a legal target and is not already targeted by that attack. I love the way that this ability is worded, that I didn't run away this time, and if you've seen the show, you kind of know what that's alluding to, but that he doesn't have that ability on his first 2 clicks. He just has Shape Change, where it's him more or less trying to avoid the damage. And then on those last 3 clicks, I didn't run away this time, he gives it to all of his friendly characters, and instead, if they are able to evade that attack, he has to be targeted. So it just really drives home the way he's willing to sacrifice. This is such a cool character, one of my favorite pieces in the game right now. I'm really glad I was able to pick this up, and it's gonna find its way onto a lot of teams. And then I'll roll right into the demo bat. So it's gonna come in at 50 points. It's gonna have Upside Down, Animal, Monster, and the Mystical keywords. And then he's gonna have a traded ability called Scree, and it's gonna give him Charge, and when an opposing character within 4 squares is given a costed action, after resolutions, generate a Demobat bystander within 3 squares of Demobat, max 5. So kind of the same scenario here with the Demodog. You're just trying to generate as many of these as you can to just completely take over the board state. And then he has another traded ability called They Won't Stop, and this is where it gets really interesting. So when Demobat would be KO'd by an opposing character, instead, roll a d6. On a 1 or a 2, KO Demobat. On a 3 through 5, KO Demobat and generate 2 Demobat bystanders adjacent to the opposing character. And if you roll a 6, turn Demobat to click 3. Then generate a Demobat bystander adjacent to the opposing character with protected Pulse Wave. So just nuts. I mean, these things are so hard to completely get rid of. They're just going to be a nuisance, but they're going to tie you up so that anything else on your team is going to have numerous possibilities and ways that they can get to you while you're trying to fend off these bats, with the possibility of continuing to just generate more and more and more. It's Really, really fun. It's got the Underworld team ability, and then throughout the dial, it'll have Sidestep, Poison, and Super Senses. So in my opinion, out of the boxes that we have here from the LE exclusives, I think that's the one that has the most value overall, just as far as ways that you can implement it onto numerous different teams. But the last one, and certainly not least, is gonna be probably the scariest piece, just as a tentpole piece out of the group, and that's gonna be the big bad Vecna. So Vecna was introduced in season 4, I believe, and it's kind of like I mentioned earlier in the video, it's just nuts. You know, during that first season and earlier seasons, the Demogorgon was just looked at as the ultimate bad guy. It's so terrifying. And then they continued to increase that power creep and bring in a character like Vecna that makes you almost forget about the Demogorgon because he's just so badass. And this piece really drives that home. So with Vecna, he's gonna come in at 150 points, but he does a lot of things that's gonna make that point value worth it. So Vecna's gonna have the Upside Down, Monster, Mystical, Past, and Ruler keywords. And then he's gonna have a traded ability that says a Broken Clock, where opposing characters within line of fire modify attack -1, and then a movement ability that says is deadly twice a day. And it's gonna grant Mind Control and Sidestep, but this is where it gets interesting. When Vecna uses Mind Control, each hit target may target itself when attacking. That's the big difference, and that's where, in my opinion, this piece is so much fun and just opens up so much more potential, because you can target the biggest person on their team without having to worry about if they're adjacent to somebody else or what the circumstances are, because you can go ahead and mind control them and then just hit themselves. That's huge. That opens up so many possibilities and makes this card really, really unique. He's also going to have an attack ability called It's All Thanks to You, and it's when Vecna makes an attack, he may instead target all opposing characters occupying terrain markers within 4 squares, regardless of line of fire or adjacency. If he does, each hit character is dealt damage equal to his printed value instead of normal damage. That's nuts. And then a defensive ability called The Nightmare is Just Beginning, and this is a stop click. So it's going to give toughness. And the first time this click is revealed, your opponents may choose to deal a character friendly to them 1 avoidable damage. If they don't, heal Vecna 1 click. Now you repeat this process twice, so your opponent chooses 3 times in total. Really strong. He's gonna have Power Cosmic, also the Underworld team ability, and then throughout the dial you'll have Sidestep, Stealth, Pulse Wave, Invincible, Impervious, Toughness, Prob, Exploit Weakness, and Outwit. So man, there's a lot going on there with that card, and just overall, I can't stress enough, these pieces are they're just so cool. They're, you know, whether you like Stranger Things or not, I'm sure there's plenty of places you can find on your teams for these pieces, or just for a fun game at the kitchen table, whether you're competitive or just playing for fun. I think there's something here for everyone. As a Stranger Things fan, this is a huge thing for me. I'm really excited about this, really excited to get more of this to the table. One other thing that I did want to mention is I feel like there's still a lot of possibility to see a few more, whether it's Con LEs or maybe another Iconix, because there's some characters we haven't seen that are incredibly popular characters, like Steve and Robin and Nancy and Jonathan. I think there's a possibility we can see 2 more 2-packs that has Steve and Robin paired and Nancy and Jonathan. I don't know, maybe a 3-pack that has Steve, Jonathan, and Nancy, and it's some sort of a love triangle 3-pack, I don't know. But a lot of possibilities, a lot of really cool things that they can continue to do. I would love to see a Steve sculpt with the spiked bat. It would be really cool. But all in all, I love this set. Can't wait to keep playing with it. Hopefully you enjoy the information that you got here today. Leave a comment down below if there's any specific characters from the Stranger Things universe you think would be cool to see them add to the game. Again, thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you liked the video, give me a like, a subscribe, comment, anything helps. I appreciate you getting all the way through the video here, taking the time to stop by and learn more about the Stranger Things pieces that have come into the game. Until next time, I'm Randy. Hope you all have a good night.